I'll start laughing.
Tell me about Penguin Computing.
In a non-salesy way?
No, let's talk specifics. Let's talk about some specific applications that Penguin is uniquely suited to handle. Industries. Let's get specific outside of what you said.
I think that Penguin has had success in probably 2 or 3 specific verticals for a number of reasons. We've been very strong in academia. A lot of companies don't necessarily focus on academia, don't really see it as a large profit center, but Penguin has had such a success, I think, out of the simplicity that our company can offer to a particular customer. The idea that you get a turnkey system, it's sort of out of the box and ready to go. Researchers and professors really, they don't want to spend graduate student resources managing a cluster. They don't want, they want to publish their papers before the next conference. A lot of people forget that, professors compete with other professors, and there is sort of an economy, or there is sort of a business between competing professors, and the fact that we can roll in a system and turn it on and they're ready to go without having a graduate student spend 6 months, or several weeks even putting the system together, I think is hugely valuable. We've had great success in the what we call MCAE, the manufacturing and aerospace markets. I think a lot of that revolves around not our expertise necessarily with the hardware, which I think is very translatable between companies, but specifically with the applications. Our technical staff are engineers. We're aerospace engineers. We're mechanical engineers. We're finite element analysis folks. And I think that adds a lot of sort of validity where you're coming to a user, you're coming to a customer, and they say, well, this is the problem that I have, and we can really sympathize with that. We can really say, you know what, I was in your shoes too. Let me show you how I've done it differently and see how that works better for you. And lastly, and this is sort of a big one, is in the life sciences space, specifically in the informatics and gene sequencing, where customers are scientists first and they're compute people second. They're computer scientists second. And they lean on Penguin a lot for expertise around the compute and how that relates into their application space. We have PhDs, that are sales engineers that are PhDs in biochemistry and quantum mechanics, and can talk to customers as if they were colleagues rather than as if they were trying to sell something to somebody.
Okay. What are some of the what are they worried about when they come to you? What are some of their biggest questions? Let's just use the example of biosciences, for instance, to begin with.
I think that a lot of times customers come to us and say, I want, they think they know what they want. They say, I want 100 machines with this configuration. And a lot of other companies will come back and say, well, here's a quote, here's the price, what do you think? But our efforts are, we'll take one step back and say, well, tell me about what you're doing. What does your application actually do? Tell me about the science. Tell me about the algorithms. Tell me about the code. And perhaps, and what generally happens with our customers is they may end up actually buying a system that's completely different than they thought that they actually needed, but ultimately is a more optimized solution.
How much of this relates to cloud, to your cloud product, your POD?
I think the cloud relates very well to our business. People buy clusters, and it's almost always limited by budget, and people almost always need more capacity than they can afford. You always want more than you can have to some degree, and I think that applies in HPC. Our pod offering is designed specifically for high-performance applications like informatics, like fluid dynamics and finite element analysis, and we can carry over our expertise in, delivering a cluster to you that's for your application, but also we can have our pod infrastructure be designed specifically for those applications as well.
Okay. Well, clearly you've chosen these with purpose, because those are the top dogs as far as what other companies are tackling. So I'll ask you, just as I asked your colleague, what are you doing differently on that end, especially as far as the applications themselves go, the HPC applications?
I think the one thing that really differs us from anybody else, the applications are all the same. A lot of the sort of tuning and mechanics are all the same. But I think that one thing that really sets Penguin apart and our on-demand offering apart from anything else in the industry is expertise. We're here to help you. We want to help you. We also have a huge commitment to the open source community where a lot of the bioinformatics applications come from. We have people inside of Penguin that work on my team that will develop for and give code back and give optimizations back to the community, and I don't think that's I don't think you can find that in any other company offering something similar to Pod.
Okay. So you're here at ISC where there are a lot of kind of naysayers when it comes to cloud, and although you guys are kind of on the cutting edge of this, what do you see coming in the next 5 years? Not necessarily for Penguin, but in the overall HPC cloud space. What's happening? Is this an emerging trend that you're on the cutting edge of, or is it experimental? Are you guys sort of
I think that
practicing with this?
That's a very good question. I think that we're sort of at the beginning of the technology. I don't think it's a phase or a fad. I think that there's certainly a trend here. I think the sort of holy grail is sort of the ability to dynamically spill over to a pod or dynamically spill over to the cloud, if you will. It's very simple and very, very easy to do in the web market, with Apache and PHP and things like that, because the environment and the software stack is very consistent. People use, this web server in very similar ways. But in the high-performance space, it's incredibly difficult. I think that in the next 3 to 5 years, software technologies specifically, will be developed to allow sort of this dynamic failover and sort of this, just push-play kind of configuration on the cloud. And I think that'll benefit everybody. It'll benefit not only the large national labs, but it'll benefit, the folks at home that have, a giant spreadsheet they need to crunch. I think it's applicable across, from labs and universities down to even the consumer itself.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Joshua Bernstein, your position?
I'm the manager of software development at Penguin Computing.
Thank you so much.